Hello, BookTube. Back with a video. I think this is going to be fairly short, so he says. But we'll see. It's just I'm here to talk about one book. It's a combination sort of art and poetry. And the book is 100 Poets by Hokusai. I probably butchered his name, but he's an artist. And there are 100 haiku, mostly haiku poets in here. And let's read the flap here. And in the last 3 decades of his life, Hokusai, the renowned 19th century Japanese artist, produced his greatest works of art. Among them are the prints intended to accompany the 100 Poets, a body of literature that has been an integral part of Japanese art and culture since the mid 13th century. In his lifetime, however, Hokusai only completed 27 prints, and until recently, the designs and drawings for 62 other images have been ignored. Reproducing all 89 of the extant images in this remarkable series for the first time, Hokusai 100 Poets displays the range of the artist's pictorial imagination and powers of invention. A highly illiterate man whose affinity for books can be traced to his early career, Hokusai was well equipped to appreciate the subtleties of the works included in the 100 Poets anthology. Sensitive to the richness of meaning, he was therefore not content to render superficial illustrations. Rather, the artist looked for a way to convey the ambiguous language as well as the many layers of meaning on the themes of nature, the seasons, and love. Hokusai further added his own delightful sense of humor to his aesthetic recipe in creating the device of an innocent, uneducated nanny or nurse whose interpretations of the poems are visualized. While the nurse's wisdoms and knowledge of life are apparent in some of the prints, just as often they depict her comic misunderstandings of the puns in the text to hilarious results. The style of Hokusai's woodblock prints and drawings, with their sharp outlines and attention to detail, display an unusual clarity and serve as a perfect foil to the nurse's interpretations, with their parallel focus on reality rather than on suggestions implicit in the poetry. And it goes on to talk about I might as well just do a little bit more. Peter Morse, in this edition of Hokusai 100 Poets, examines the series within Hokusai's oeuvre as a whole, as well as explains the importance of the 100 Poems anthology within Japanese culture. His commentaries on each of the images offers a detailed summary of the poetry, as well as an interpretation of the illustration providing a new appreciation for Hokusai's genius as an artist and illustrator. And it's not all haiku, but let's look at some of the images. I think they're just fantastic. Oh, it's going to be a little difficult to do. It's a big oblong book. You can see some damage there, but I'll get to the publication details in a bit. The color woodblock print. And black and white sketches. It's just on and on. Every other page is like this. It's just beautiful. And yeah, there's a lot of there's quite a few haiku in here, but it's not mostly haiku. This is a George Brazier Incorporated Publishers, New York. Looking for the date, 1989. Now, it has a $95 US cover price on it. That was in 1989. I got this. Well, and actually, a friend of mine was in a charity shop in a town nearby here, and says there's a book of haiku with art. It's a big book. It's $2 or £2. Sorry, £2. And I said, yeah, grab it. I wasn't expecting much, and this is just a fantastic book. Um, and I've not read it all. I've looked through at the art and read some of the poetry and the descriptions of the poets and the art that goes with it. It's just fantastic. I know nothing about really the artist. I'd never heard of him before this, and a lot of the poets I'd never heard of before this. Uh, and sort of getting to haiku, I was just sort of segue into sort of haiku, which I think is quite fun and interesting. Um, it's traditionally Japanese. It was originally done to sort of as a introductory stanza to a longer poetry, and then later it started being done as separate units. And I think it was in the late 17th century, or sometime in the 17th century, uh, um, the biggest proponent of haiku was somebody named Basho, which there's a little, or there used to be a little penguin book of his haiku, and they're mostly nature poems, and with a twist. Like haiku, it's there's the traditional Japanese way, but then sort of it's been adapted into English, and the traditional way is sort of you have 3 lines, you have 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and then 5 syllables again. People have changed that and just any 3 lines, and it just there's no rhyme or reason to it. I like a little structure in in haiku, and I like the 5 7 5. But I also like where the 2 lines, the first 2 lines, sort of are leading you down a path. Then all of a sudden, the last line sort of takes you in a different direction. And then once you read the last line, it makes sense, but it could have gone somewhere else. It could have gone the logical step to it. And here's sort of a few example, which I think is the snow has fallen. All rejoiced at the beauty. Then there was silence. Um, from this point of view, gazing into eyes so blue, there's a bit of rhyme here, but tears like morning dew. Lost in thoughts again, memories of you burn bright, shadows move in. Um, yeah, open and exposed. In the moment, stillness flows, anticipation. So yeah, so it can be a fun thing to do because you can, as I say, the ones that I do like are that you got the 2 lines that you're sort of being led down a garden path. You think you know where it's going to go, and then all of a sudden the last line sort of takes it in a slightly, sometimes really different direction, or it just puts the punch onto it, which I really like. And like I say, in here though, there are they're longer poems, but there's like a little bit about the way the writer does it. He has a little thing about the poet, the poem, the picture for each one, and it's hard to explain how fantastic this art is. You know, let's see if I can go through a few more here. Just any page sort of will show how great the art is. A lot of black and white, but there are color ones. Some of them maybe that I've already shown. Easy to wield this book. color ones are just amazing. But he never got it finished by the sounds of it on the information on the flap. So here, let's look at this one here. It's I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name. I will show it rather than pronounce it. The poet's name up there. But the poem is, like the wanderer's fire at the imperial gateway kept, burning through the night, through the day in ashes dulled, is the love aglow in me. And then he goes, the poet lived from 922 to 921. He was the second highest official of the Imperial Bureau of Deities. His father had held the position before him. Asen was a hereditary and largely honorary title. And then he goes into the poem. The poet says his love is like the fire kept by the guards of the gate of the imperial palace. It burns hot only at night. Specifically, Morai means the whole guard force. And then he goes into the description. And then he goes about the picture, the photograph here. Here, Hokusai shows the poet's love at low ebb, like the fires during the day. There is a group of cheerful, lazy imperial carriage guards off duty while the emperor is in the palace. So anyway, I just thought I'd concentrate a little more on a single book. I'm just amazed that this was so expensive in 1989. $95 US, and it's not even cloth bound. It's just paper. It's paper covered. It's a bit. It's got the embossed there, Hokusai. But yeah, and I was very, very pleased to have it for £2. It's one of those occasions where not always, somebody says to me, "Oh, I see this book. You might be interested. Do you want it?" And usually it's kind of expensive, and I usually pass on it unless I look it up or somewhere. But this was sort of like I didn't care. £2. Yeah, I'll give you £2. I'll give you $5. Whatever. And then when I saw this, it was amazing. But I gotta get this sort of sorted. The tear there, but the back is the spine is that, but the back is just plain red. There's nothing there. So anyway, I stretched that out to 13 minutes there. So anyway, I don't know if it's something that you'd be interested in, just to sort of highlight one book and go through it maybe in a little more detail in an awkward way, because if it's a big book, it's a little awkward to do that. But let me know. And again, thank you for all the support, all the comments that everybody's made. And if you are interested more in this book or anything else, do let me know in the comments below. Take care, BookTube.